Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I put out a video, but it's also been a little while since I've put out a jig tying video. I probably haven't tied a jig in probably 4 or 5 months or what have you. Usually that's more of a late fall, winter thing for me, and then come spring, summer, fall, then it's more of a fishing time thing for me. So now we're getting more into the jig tying season again. It's mid-November, November 13th or 14th or something. And yeah, I was in the mood to tie some jigs, so we're going to tie some jigs today. What we're going to do, we're going to start with, we have some UV polar chenille olive that we're going to tie in, and then just some olive marabou that we're going to use as well. Just a very simple jig, and we have that on a 1/4 ounce matte olive or matte green pumpkin jig head, and I'm tying that with some ultra thread 140, which I would prefer to be tying with 210, but I do not have that in olive at the moment. So anyways, we'll get to it. Yeah, it might not be the most exciting thing, but I figured if I haven't tied a jig in a while, let's start with something basic to get my legs back under me, if you will, and take it from there. Give that a snip. Work that down a bit more, and then I'll just take my piece of UV chenille and tie that in. I don't remove anything there or anything like that. I just tie it right in. I know some people like to, get to the core of it or whatever. That doesn't matter to me. All right, and then we'll get our first piece of marabou. I should only need 2 to 3 pieces of marabou for this. And I'm tying that in by the tips. So we'll just find the high point here. Just going to wet that a bit with my fingers so that it gets, there we go. And I'm going to tie the tip of that in just like this. And then I'm going to bring the thread all the way up back to the base. And I could snip the little piece of marabou off or whatever, but there's no real need to do that because it all gets buried anyway. And then so I'm grabbing both the marabou and the chenille together, and that's how I'm going to wrap them. I'm just going to go around together, and so it's a little bit of a pain sometimes, but because you got to make sure that your chenille doesn't get caught, and then at the same time you always got to make sure that your marabou is being brushed back. But yeah, and then we'll just keep on going around here. But it does feel good to be back on the vise again. Time to start feeling inspired again during these winter months. Where I live, we probably don't get ice fishing till January, and even then, it can be sketchy at best. Last year, for sure, we didn't really have. Maybe we had a month of decent ice to go ice fishing. So it's a bit, you can go get a bit of cabin fever if you don't find time to do a new hobby or something. So the jig tying kind of keeps me occupied. I'm just gonna always making sure I'm brushing that marabou back, and then also while I'm doing that, I'm brushing back the chenille as well. And you should be starting to see at least a little bit. some of that chenille will then obviously show through, because it's got this chenille has those longer strands or whatever coming off of the main thread, and so those should be you should be able to get nice little glimpses of those coming through the marabou, showing through the marabou, which will then obviously give your jig a little extra flash in the water. And we're almost getting to the end of this feather. Brush that back a bit more. Can I get one more wrap out of this feather? Yeah, it's probably time to tie it off, I think. Well, maybe I'll go around. Well, some of those hairs don't look exactly terribly desirable, but we'll just tie it off there nonetheless. And hopefully that'll look all right. I don't want to. I'm always worried about when I'm tying with 140 thread that it will inevitably break at some point. So I'm trying to be careful. I want it tight, obviously, but I don't want to pull too tight, which is why the 210 is always so much better. We'll give that a little clip. I'm not going to clip the chenille. I'm just going to clip the marabou, and maybe even some of that I'll just push back as well. And tie that down. Now I gotta readjust my thread here, it's getting way too long. So I'm just gonna brush that back and then just tie it down, I think. Yeah, we'll just go like that a bit. And that should be fine. And then we'll tie in, get our second piece of marabou here and tie that in. Again, find the tip. And it helps to just lick your fingers a bit and then push it. That broke off. Try that again. That's the thing with marabou, it can be very delicate. All right, that should be good. And then once again, just grabbing both the chenille and the marabou together and just working our wraps around and continually brushing back and making sure you're not trapping any of those marabou pieces, because otherwise they could get knotted up pretty badly and sort of defeats the purpose of what you want your jig to do. All right, and bring that around again. And then I'm going to tie that off. All right. And I'm just going to snip the stem here. Get rid of that, and then I'm going to brush these back and just do a couple wraps. Oh no. Yeah. Just make sure that's in there good. Trying to get it tight, as I said, but I'm always nervous about the thread going on me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish, I'll just do a couple of wraps with the chenille on top. It doesn't have to be very many. And brush those back as well. And maybe just one more. And that'll be plenty. And then I'll tie that off as well. And give that a snip. And there we go. Okay, now I'm just going to brush this back a little bit, and we'll get the wet finisher out here, and we'll do a few finishes. A couple more here. And there. There we go. We're all done. So yeah, you should be seeing. Just blow this off a little bit here, getting any of those loose fibers out. But yeah, you just have obviously that awesome Marabou action, but then just with a bit of sparkle with that chenille coming through, and as it pulsates in the water, you should be able to see some of that underlayer as well. So yeah, so there you have it. All right, we got this thing in the little tank here, and let's see what it looks like. So we'll just give it some little swimming action back and forth, which I don't have a very big tank, so obviously it's maybe not the best to see, but the hairs do give it a really nice swimming action if you're someone who just likes to swim their Marabou. If you like popping it, obviously the hairs kick a lot, they'll flare a lot more. And some of that chenille that's underneath will be able to come through, but it looks good either swimming like this or popping it along. Either way, I fish Marabou either way, depends on what situation I'm in. But yeah, there you have it, folks. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and there'll probably be some more jig tying videos in the not too distant future. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you all have a great day. Bye now.